Donald Trump finds new allies in Silicon Valley after a big fundraiser. What is up, people of the internet? It is me, Real American, back in with a new video, and today it is time to talk about the 2024 presidential election because everyone, Donald Trump hosted another fundraiser yesterday, and on paper, this isn't that big of a deal. Like, okay, he hosted a fundraiser, he raised a couple $1 million. What's the big deal? It's where it took place at. This isn't Texas, this isn't Georgia. No, this was held in Silicon Valley. Yeah. We're not talking about a Republican area, far from it. In fact, you could argue that if Silicon Valley as a whole is one of the most Democrat regions in America. But despite that, Donald Trump held a successful fundraiser in Silicon Valley. Now, before we continue with today's video, I hope you enjoy these type of videos. If you do, smash the like button down below, subscribe, share with your friends, hit that little bell, follow the social media accounts in the description down below, and of course, join the channel today. Again, folks, all support is greatly appreciated, and yeah. Now let us get into it. One March night in the nation's capital, Senator J.D. Vance, a Republican of Ohio, left a conservative gala to join a group having dinner with Donald Trump Jr. As the meal wrapped, Mr. Vance decided on a whim to invite a friend whom he had just introduced at the gala dinner to meet the former president's son. Soon, the three Republicans, Mr. Vance, Mr. Trump Jr., and Mr. Vance's friend, David Sachs, Silicon Valley entrepreneur, were getting to know one another for a half an hour or so in a private dining room of the Conrad Hotel. It was there, hours after Mr. Trump became the presumptive Republican nominee, that Mr. Sachs signaled that he was all in for Trump 2024. On Thursday evening, this time on his own California turf, it was Mr. Sachs' turn to host Team Trump. The former president himself flew to San Francisco to attend a fundraiser at Mr. Sachs' $20 million home. Yeah, so Trump actually showed up. This isn't just, oh. J.D. Vance met with someone that he knew in Silicon Valley, and that's why Trump raised the money. Which, yeah, that's part of it. I mean, J.D. Vance, you could argue, is the reason why this fundraiser occurred, but Trump himself decided to go to this event. The private event, the first campaign fundraiser since Mr. Trump's criminal conviction last week, was expected to raise north of $12 million, according to people involved in the gathering. Yeah, $12 million in Silicon Valley. Now, there are some Republicans in Silicon Valley. Let's be clear. It's not old Democrat, but let's face it. 95% of people that live in Silicon Valley, especially the big donors, they're Democrats. The fact that Trump was able to raise $12 million in Silicon Valley. Beyond the money, the fundraiser in the beating heart of the liberal tech industry was also in some ways a landmark event, at least symbolically. 4 years ago, and certainly 8 years ago, the Bay Area remained a haven for liberalism and offered little support for Mr. Trump. That's an understatement. I don't think there might have been a couple, but I highly doubt there were many big donors for Trump in Silicon Valley. I highly doubt it. There might have been a couple, there were, I think, but this area for years has been extremely liberal. So, the fact that Trump just showed up, all right, obviously J.D. Vance and others set it up, but he was able to fundraise this in Silicon Valley, not in, not even like Northern California. This is the liberal haven for these people. But the Obama-era bonhomie between Silicon Valley and the Democratic Party has come close to disintegrating. These days, entrepreneurs complain as much about President Biden as much as they do about Lena Kane, the chair of the Federal Trade Commission, who has ascended to Darth Vader-like status in some corners of the technology industry. To be sure, most of the tech industry's elite maintain their liberal leanings on everything from immigration to climate change. Mr. Biden made his own trip to Silicon Valley last month, where he raised millions of dollars and was feted by internet icons, which, obviously, I mean, yeah, Democrats are still going to get a lot of money from these people. Obviously, this is Silicon Valley still. Even with Trump raising money, no one should expect it to suddenly become a Republican stronghold. It's still going to be very Democrat. But times have changed, and Republicans on a national level see an opportunity to make incursions with wealthy entrepreneurs who have drifted rightward following the COVID pandemic and the resistance to social justice movements in 2020. It's safe to say that there's a wellspring of support in Silicon Valley. Mr. Sachs wrote in a text to the New York Times, especially given the backlash to the political persecution of Trump. And I really believe this is the #1 reason for why these people are backing Trump. Yes, they planned this fundraiser for months now, but here's the reality of it. there were a bunch of Democrats before the Trump conviction that would have never gave him a dime. But now, we're seeing a lot of Democrats on Twitter, not just some random people, some big donors, saying publicly, I will support Trump in 2024. And the reason being is the political persecution. Because let's face it, I don't care what you think about the Trump case, it doesn't really matter. These people look at this and say to themselves, if they can go after Trump for such a lame excuse, they can go after every single person that disagrees with the system. That's the reality of it. That's why these people are panicking. They're like, oh crap. If Trump loses, we could be next. That's the reality of it. These people are realizing that, okay, maybe it's not a good idea to back Democrats, at least in their current form. Mr. Sachs had expressed a desire to friends to make the San Francisco event something of a statement. He hoped to portray Silicon Valley as a changed place, and San Francisco is no longer the liberal mecca of the Grateful Dead and Allen Ginsberg, and it still is liberal, obviously. It's Silicon Valley, for crying out loud. But I do think they were successful. This is a clear statement that a bunch of usually liberal people decided, okay, you know what? We're going to give Trump, someone 8 years ago, none of them would have supported, financial support. And not just, $5. In total, he raised $12 million. Over the last few years, Mr. Sachs, a longtime associate of Elon Musk and Peter Thiel, has transformed from a prominent Silicon Valley executive into an unlikely media celebrity for would-be entrepreneurs, especially those leaning right, who listen to his popular Olin podcast. He has also substantially increased his political involvement, hiring aides to steer his giving, setting up his own super PACs, and as of late, building relationships at Mr. Trump's Florida home base, Mar-a-Lago, links of which he lacked just a few months ago. Which should make people wonder, okay, are we sure that this is just a one-off occurrence, or maybe, just maybe, there are in fact some people in Silicon Valley that are ready for change, just to give Trump a chance? Because would they want to build a connection to someone that they're not going to actually support? Would they do all of this just to abandon Trump at the last minute or something? I doubt it. It really seems like these people, which they're not conservative, there might be a couple of them, but I would assume 95% of them are liberal leaning. So these people should not be giving money to Trump, but as of now, yeah, they are in fact supporting Trump. The trip to San Francisco was Mr. Trump's first visit to the famously left-wing city in at least a decade. The former president has called San Francisco horrible, filthy, and drug-infested, and he has often invoked his homegrown political figures, such as Gavin Newsom and former House Speaker Nancy Pelosi, as exemplars of what he sees as liberal excesses, and he's right. San Francisco went from one of the nicest cities in America to a shithole. And I don't like to say that. I wish every city in America was great. But it wasn't. It's turned into a shithole. Some attendees of Mr. Sachs' event flew in from out of town. The event at his home had sold out of its 2 ticket levels, $50,000 per person, and $300,000 per person. Does this sound like this was an event of like 2 people that showed up? No, it's clear. It was a bunch of people that showed up to support Trump. And I would assume these people were mostly tech executives. Obviously, it's Silicon Valley. Later over the weekend, Mr. Trump will be hosted in Orange County in Southern California by another tech entrepreneur, Palmer Luckey, a former Facebook executive. Yet another one that's supporting Trump, or at least hosting another fundraiser. This isn't a fluke if it's multiple fundraisers by tech executives. This isn't a coincidence. This is a trend. You don't see these people openly supporting Republicans. Some of them might. But the fact that he's raising this much money in San Francisco, and now he has another event in Orange County with another tech executive, that should tell you that, yeah, this might not be a fluke. There might be actual change occurring with these people. They might be waking up to realizing, oh crap, we cannot support the Democrat Party in its current state. People involved in the San Francisco fundraiser said the roughly $12 million they expected to raise will beat their initial goal of about $5 million. So they expected originally, like a couple months ago, we might raise $5 million. But they actually raised $12 million, more than double About 25 people were expected to attend the dinner, and about another 50 or so were slated to attend a bigger reception. So it's a bunch of people that are sick of the Democrat Party. They're supporting Trump however they can. These are not just one or two people. This is a bunch of big donors giving money to Trump. This is a huge deal because these people for years have supported Democrats. Again, some of them might have backed Republicans. I assume so. There were a couple. But outside of like one or two, they all supported Democrats. None of these people would have ever voted or even backed a Republican just 5 years ago. But something changed this cycle to where now they're actually supporting Republicans. Now, does this mean California is going to flip? No. Again, just because it's Silicon Valley, it's big donors, it doesn't mean California is going to shift 30 points Republican. But it should make you wonder if these tech entrepreneurs, which should be some of the most Democrat people in California, it's already a Democrat state, the fact that a large chunk of them are now backing Trump, whether it's indirectly or directly like this, that's a big deal. These are people that you would not expect any Republican, let alone Trump, to get support from. But it seems like something has changed, and I really believe it comes down to the political persecution. That's what David Sachs quoted. He said, yeah, it was the political persecution of Trump. Because if they can go after Trump for bullshit, these same tech entrepreneurs, these people could go after them for some insane reason if they go against the system. And that's why I really believe, yeah, these people are now financially backing Trump. Again, $12 million isn't the most in the world, but considering this came from Silicon Valley in one fundraiser, and we might have another one next Tuesday or whatever, that's a good sign. That's a sign that, hey, maybe Trump is making actual inroads with these people, and they're willing to support Trump because of it. Now, does this mean Trump should sell out the administration for these people? No. Obviously, these people are going to be more liberal, but maybe there are some common sense stuff they want. Maybe there's some regulation in the tech industry that they think is bad, and maybe we should get rid of it. Maybe that's the case. Who knows? But either way, I think this is a good idea for Trump's campaign to do more of these events with people that usually don't support Republicans, because it symbolizes the current state of affairs within the Democrat Party. I mean, the fact that they're potentially losing some big tech people, that's not a good sign for them. Not a good sign at all, especially to Donald Trump. But we got to see what happens. I do assume that Trump's going to do more events with these people. I would not be shocked. But anyways, folks, thank you so much for watching. If you guys did enjoy this video, smash the like button down below. Subscribe, share with your friends, hit that little bell, follow the social media accounts in the description down below, and of course, join the channel today. Godspeed to all of you.